Good morning. Welcome to Time in His Word. At the end of the day, I try to walk 30 minutes. I guess getting older and sitting in the seat for so long, my legs hurt at the end of the day from time to time. And last year when I seen the doctor, I was telling him about it. He said, you're going to have to start walking more. It's from sitting, the circulation is not moving around good. So now I try to do that as best I can. Not very good at I do pretty good. Out of 7 days, I'll probably get a good 4 or 5 days in. Sometimes at the end of the day, I don't feel like walking. I'm just going to sit and relax. But anyway, so last night I was walking. It's right before the street lights come on. So it's right there at dusk, and I'd already made one trip around the parking lot. And the second time around, pretty much in the same steps as before, I noticed something on the ground. And I hadn't noticed it the time before. And I stopped and picked it up, and it was a dime. And no telling how long this dime had been on this parking lot. You could tell it had been ran over and discarded and just it wasn't a shiny dime. It was beat up big time. And where I'm at is basically for truck parking only. So you can just imagine how many oversized loads maybe he's run over this dime. It's been smashed and beat up big time. But the thing is, it still has value. It is still worth 10 cents. It is still 10 pennies or a tenth of a dollar. So I put it in my pocket. If I don't spend it over the next day or so, and when I clean the change out of my pockets and throw them in my change jar, it'll end up either being spent or put in the jar. And then when I cash my change in at the bank, it's going back into circulation. There's no two ways about it. And a lot of time in life, we get like that. We get like that dime. We feel discarded. We feel ran over, abused, you name it. We have that feeling in our lives. But there's a big difference, life, the world, the more you're beat up and tattered like that, they see no value in you. But as a child of God, no matter how beat up you are by the world or ran over or discarded or whatever, you're still a child of God. In His eyes, we still have value. We are still worth something. And I was thinking about a passage to use with this morning. I really couldn't think of one, but I kept thinking about Nicodemus. Now, Nicodemus, he was a Pharisee, and in Jesus's time, those guys, they were smart. All they did was study. What they had for scriptures was basically the Old Testament. They knew them forwards and backwards. You could ask them a question about it, and they could tell you chapter, verse. They knew their stuff. And so, but Nicodemus comes to Jesus in the middle of the night. Now, why would somebody who is somebody held in high regard in society, why would they come to Jesus in the middle of the night? Now, I don't study history. I don't study any of that stuff. It doesn't interest me. So all I'm doing is reading and sharing with you how I take this from John, the 3rd chapter. I think truly Nicodemus, not so much being embarrassed by not knowing and understanding what Jesus was talking about, I think he wanted to know what Jesus had to share. And he didn't want his buddies to know that he had, I don't want to say doubt in his knowledge and that, but he was curious. He had questions. And what better way to get answers to the question than to go to the guy you got questions for? So he went and he talked to Jesus. And you can read through the 3rd chapter of John, the first 18 verses. And there's a lot to read there. And take your time, because there's a lot of give and take between the two. And Jesus is talking to him as he would talk to us. He's not talking down to him. He's not making fun of him because he doesn't know. He is explaining things as best he can. And I have found A lot of times I might not understand a passage, and I'll go to the pastor, I'll go to an elder in the church, or I'll go to somebody who I feel is more knowledgeable in the Bible, and I'll say, well, listen, I don't understand this, and what's going on here. And in all my experiences, I've never had somebody talk down to me. They've always tried to explain as best they can. And so if you're in that predicament and you're not understanding something in the Bible, seek out somebody with knowledge and talk to them about it, to have them explain it to you. Because no matter how beat up and tossed about and you feel like you're not of value, always remember, in the eyes of God, you're worth value. You have value. You are worth something. And that's part of what this passage is getting about. And the one thing in this passage I like is verse 17. It says, "For God did not send the Son into the world to judge the world, but that the world might be saved through him. He who believes in him is not judged. He who does not believe in him has been judged already, because he has not believed in the name of the only begotten Son." So no matter how beat up and battered, like that dime I found, that dime still has value. It's the same in our life. No matter how much society beats us up, no matter how much the world beats us up, and if you're a Christian and you feel like your church has abandoned you, or your preachers abandoned you, or people in the congregation have abandoned you and beat you up, remember, you have value. You are worth something in the eyes of God. And it's easy to get caught up in little groups and cliques and lose sight of what we're after. And there for a while, I've been in church leadership, and some of the stuff that you hear is just trivial. And my mother has told me, and I try to remember it, and it works. She says, you go to church to worship the King and sing praises to him. All that other little stuff does not matter. You're there for that purpose and that purpose only. And we need to remember that. And instead of walking away from the church, we need to walk towards the church. No matter what the church has done to you, remember, you are there to worship the King and sing praises to him. And always remember, your life has value. No matter how beat up and run over by society, in the eyes of God, you are his child, and you have value, and you are worth something.